All right, so for today, we're going to talk about how strong do you need to be to actually look muscular. It's a weird topic because no one necessarily asked me, but it's something I've always been thinking about. Like I remember when I first started working out, I wanted to be like, oh, how long do I need to work out in order to look like I work out? And maybe I'm just me, but I feel like I try to make content for people who would resonate with like how I used to think. And I used to think 2 years, then I used to think three. I don't know. More of the story is, I think a lot of people make the mistake of if they think they get stronger, they're eventually gonna look how they want to look. And don't get me wrong, when you're getting strong in the beginning, especially as a beginner, you're gonna build muscle. But eventually, it's gonna reach a point where getting stronger and looking muscular isn't exactly the same thing. Like I've deadlifted over 600 pounds, squatted over 300 pounds, I've squatted over 500 pounds, and if I could start all over with the same goal as aesthetics. Like I wouldn't chase strength the way I did. Like obviously, yes, you need to get stronger. Like I don't want you to take away from this video to say that strength doesn't matter. I think honestly, for most people, they should do some type of strength training, regardless if your main goal is to be a powerlifter, you just want to get stronger, you want to train for aesthetics, or you just want to like general health and fitness. Like that's one of the best. Like muscles, and building strength is one of the best ways to like most counters in life. Like can't I don't want to go too much in a random spiel, but like if you've been incline pressing 40 pounds for 3 years, you're not gonna have like a crazy chest. Or if you've been doing like one plate for like 5 years, you're not gonna like your muscles need a reason to change. So over time, you should be adding weights, reps, and improving your execution. Obviously, essentially, I'm just telling you to do progressive overload in different forms or sessions. But progressive overload doesn't mean like every exercise has to be like you're trying to do your 1 rep max. Like there isn't necessarily like a certain number you need to hit, rather than saying like if I want to do when I reach 225 on bench, am I considered muscular? Once I can squat 3 plates, am I muscular? Like obviously these are great milestones, and if this is something you want to reach, I think you should strive for it. But there isn't no set number where you reach it and you're like, okay, I have a muscular physique, right? Like I'd be lying to you, telling you like, oh, hit 3 plates, 2 plates, 5 plates, you're considered muscular. I'd be lying to you. Like it's different for everybody. So, like for example, I'm 6'1", 230 as I'm recording this video. My ideal weight is anywhere between 210 to 215. Like someone who's 5'7", 170 would also look like it really depends on your height, your limb length, your body weight, your genetics, your techniques, exercise selection, and how body fat looks at a certain weight. Like for example, someone who weighs 200 also deadlifting 600 pounds is a lot impressive than me doing it at 230, just because like they have a lot less leverages than I do. So it's really dependent based off you. So which is why I always tell people like you need to figure out what your goal is. Once you figure out what your goal is, you can train accordingly to that. Now strength is only useful when it's like very specific, right? Like a perfect example, if my goal is to get bigger delts, if my if my deadlift goes up between from 5 to 600, that doesn't mean my lateral raise is going to progress. Like if I want a bigger chest, training like dumbbells, doing weighted dips, doing like bench, actually is going to train my chest in ways that matter. Like that's essentially what's the difference between like getting stronger generally and getting stronger at movements that build the physique you want. Perfect example. Let's use me as an example, right? Me able to do more pull-ups, me able to do more weight on. Well, more weight doesn't necessarily mean stronger, but the reason why I'm mentioning those examples because like if you've been in my channel for long enough, you know my biggest goals is to build my lats and my side delts. So the more I can do, the more exactly like I don't want to say it's a perfect one-to-one, but there is some type of correlation between them. For example, upper chest incline press, lat pull down pull up, delts, side lateral raises, quad, squat or hack squat, hamstrings, RDLs. Like eventually, I don't want you to get in this habit. Obviously, as people, we're gonna get in this habit, but chasing numbers gets counterproductive. Like a perfect example, I remember for me, my biggest goal, I want to be able to hit 3 plates on bench. I've achieved that. Now I want to hit 4 plates. And to be honest, I don't even want to hit four anymore. I want to hit five. So it's like there's an eventual like you're gonna always keep wanting to progress. So the stronger I get, the more I realize like there's a difference between moving more weight and creating more stimulus. Like if adding weight means my technique changes or my range of motion gets worse or my other muscles start taking over, am I really progressing? Like one pet peeve of mine is like when people do like dumbbell shoulder presses, right? They don't go all the way down. And obviously, like if you have a shoulder impingement or if there's something wrong with your shoulder, you shouldn't necessarily be going all the way down. But there's other alternatives. So I feel like, let's say, for example, you could do 85. You could do that with full range of motion and everything. I would tell him do that than trying to do 100 and doing less reps and you're not doing full range of motion, right? The whole point is like you need to do things that make sense. Like a perfect example, I enjoyed deadlifting heavy. I enjoy being able to squat heavy. I enjoy being strong, but I'm not gonna pretend like every strength PR is gonna get me a little closer to getting a bigger back or building a bigger delts, you know? So that's one thing I think people need to like really keep in mind as they're thinking about this. Now, body fat plays another perception, right? A perfect example for me, just how my body works, I'm more comfortable around 18, 20. Now, people look at me and be like, oh, you look strong, but you don't necessarily look like muscular. And that's only because, like, obviously, if anyone knows me, you'd know I'm muscular, right? But your body fat is everything. And this just because, like, for me, there's not as much definition, there's not as much separation. But when I lose body fat, people be like, perfect example, I'm getting called Trapzilla, and I'm not even done with my cut. So imagine, like, once I reach 220 or 215, like, I'm gonna look a lot bigger without doing anything massive, which is why for me, like one thing I would suggest, like if I could tell my past self, is don't force a bulk just because you want to bulk. Like one thing I did is I just ate for the sake of eating, and obviously like experience is everything. You're gonna learn from your experiences, but don't just eat for the sake of eating. Now, I kind of wanted to. I don't want to say tangents because I was trying to give like general advice, but my advice is like strong enough that you built a solid foundation of muscle, but after that, your training should look like you're trying to specifically build a physique that you want. Like you should be stronger than you are 2 years from now compared to like you are today. You don't necessarily need to bench 500, squat 700, or deadlift 800. These are arbitrary numbers, but at a certain point, it becomes less about how much weight can I move and am I getting stronger at the movements I actually want to build. Like, so yes, get strong, especially when you're starting out. But if your goal is to look muscular, strength is a tool, not your end goal. Eventually these two things won't exactly be the same thing. Like being stronger and looking better become two different pursuits. As exactly why people be like, oh, lean is law or mass is law. Like you can't have both unless you're gonna do like you're gonna have to sacrifice something. So eventually it's very important you figure out what your goal is in the gym. Hope this helps.